Good morning, Friday morning from DB Motos. I've got all the bikes out and sorted. It's about 25 to 8, so I'm going to do a quick catch up before I get started for the day. Been a ridiculously hectic week this week. We're just recovering really today, I think. We started off the week with 9 bikes in the workshop, and now I can't even remember, but I think we're back up to about 17. There's a lot going out today though, so I'll quickly run through some of them. The BMW R100 Classic, this was in a previous video. I'd done some repairs on the exhaust to get him through for a little weekend ride out. It was all Coke cans and Jubilee clips across here. That got him through a day's ride out though, and then he brought it back and we've had the exhaust off, sent it away to a little company in town that do some exhaust fabrication, and he's put this joining piece in. It's actually double skinned, and then we've used the original clamp over the top. So that's ready to go out. This is a Bandit 1200, bit of a special. I'll go through that one a bit more in a second because there's quite a lot on that one. These bikes, some of these are having a little bit of work done today, but they're generally in the queue, so that's why they just sit on that side. We don't need to do much with them. The GPZ 750, this has been in the lockup for a while. It's come out, we've got all the engine cases on it. This engine was black when it came in, and it's been vapor blasted, cleaned off and converted to silver. So there's a lot involved with that, changing all the nuts, bolts, everything, getting all the cases polished. We're putting a temporary set of carbs on, a temporary set of exhausts on, and we can get that running. I've got a bike in the dyno at the moment, this TZR 250 reverse cylinder. It went on yesterday, spluttered, coughed and chuffed, didn't run properly, so we changed the set of spark plugs and it's going back on today for a base test. If that's alright, it's going to get an Ignitec on it, but we have to get the thing running properly first before we do any swapping parts over repairs. KTM LC4. The owner was on a ride and it chucked a load of oil into its airbox. Turns out it was likely just overfilled, but then the electric start didn't work either and the starter clutch had disintegrated. So we swapped all that, and now we've got some electrical work to do. When we were running it, we found all this wiring up here got extremely hot, and the back left indicator doesn't work, and it's all related. It's all iffy wiring, so we'll sort all that out. Another reverse cylinder, 3MA1. Customers had a little bit of black gunky oil appearing underneath the bike when it's parked. We've traced it to the exhaust joints at the back of the barrel. It's just gunk dripping down when it's parked. These are a really wet engine when they're running. Yamaha always had problems with them being wet, and because the exhausts tilt down the back of the bike here, they're on a downward slope towards the engine. Any gunk and spooge that appears into the air exhaust while they're running, gunk, two-stroke unburnt petrol, they get wet inside the exhaust, it runs back down towards the engine, and where the exhausts join the engine at the back, if it ponds liquid there, it tends to find its way out, comes down the cylinders here, just inside there, and then drips out down the front of the engine here. We may not be able to solve that. I'll have a chat with him later, we'll see what we can do. Another TZR 250, a 3XV this time. Not running very well, just be carburetors and sort things and bits and pieces out. A rally runabout. I'm not sure I class this as a bike in the workshop, push bike in the workshop. He sent an engine in with it. We've got to just sort of put it back together for him as far as I know, and just reassemble it and see if it works. So that'll be a little project to do on one day. We really do need to tidy up. It's been that sort of week where you just build and build in the workshop. The worktops get busier and busier, and then you need a day where you go, right, stop, clean and tidy up. That'll be this morning for half an hour. We do have a couple of jobs to get done before we can do that even. We've got a couple of bikes going straight out which need sorting still. So probably around mid-morning we might get a chance for a breather and tidy up a little bit. So bikes that are just sat in the queue, the CB754 is just waiting for a couple of oil hoses now, and then it can go back together, but we're paused on that until we get them. They're on back order from David Silvers, and David Silvers can't give us a delivery time. They're not, where they're leaking at the moment, they're not stopping the bike being ridden, but they are getting wet, and there is a little drip off them, so there's no point really carrying on. The Suzuki GT500 came in with an oil leak from the left-hand side, and the clutch pushrod seal had actually come out of the engine. So we've got a new seal on order from PJME. They're a hard seal to get hold of because they're not a standard size, and Suzuki don't do them anymore. PJs have got some in stock. We've got a few other jobs to do on it on the crib list, but not many. The CB1100 tank is expected in or back with us now very early next week. The painter sent me a message yesterday saying it's just needing final flatting and another coat of lacquer and it's done. Dan's 350 at the end is on the dyno next this morning. It's been on this week, it's going back on again. We've done some more carburettor changes. As soon as that 3MA is off, Dan's is on. The CB400, that came in leaking petrol between the carburettors from a fuel pipe joint. Simple enough to sort that, and then it didn't run very well, so we've cleaned out all the carburettors. It's been stood and gets stood a long time, and in between the carburettors are just furring up with this horrible modern fuel that we have. So we just cleaned those out and it's running beautifully again. The Triumph, yeah, this is a Thunderbird 900 Sport with a 1000cc 4-cylinder engine in. It had a coolant issue when it first came in and a tiny leak from the left hand side on the oil. The cooling issue we thought was going to be more serious, but it wasn't. It was just a new thermostat, some new switches and a new rad cap. But the oil leak turned out to be far more serious than we thought, and we're in the middle of the process of solving that. And then finally this Bandit 1200 wins the award for bike that's been into us with the biggest back tyre. So the front tyre is actually a 190 rear tyre on the front on backwards on a custom built rim. Obviously custom built pretty much everything on this bike. It is really well done. When you see the detail that goes into some of these bikes, it's really nice. It is extremely loud. Dynoed it yesterday, did very well. Engine horsepower about 130, rear wheel I think was about 115, 116, something like that. And talking of rear wheels, look at the width of that. Just about went on the dyno. Let's have a look, try and see what size it is. It is a 330 30 profile, 17-inch, again on a custom rim. Now I believe those tyres are north of £600. So running it on the dyno yesterday, I probably took about 50 quid worth of rubber off it. But at least we proved what it needed to. It's running pretty well. The fueling's pretty much where you'd want it to be. It's as good as it can be, I think. The bike's still on standard Bandit carbs under there with those pod filters on. There's only so much you can mess about with those BST carburettors. If you really want to fine tune the fueling, in honesty, you need to get some FCR flat slides or something similar. But they've been set up as well as they can be and they're pretty good. I had nothing to do with it. I just dyno ran it yesterday, looked at the fueling, saw it was pretty good. It rode pretty nicely on the dyno, and that's done. So that's us. One bike coming in today for a rear wheel fitment, and 4 bikes going out today, fingers crossed. The RD500, you may have noticed, isn't in this week's dyno for once. It's not with us, it's off for MOT. Passed its test yesterday, it'll be back today, and then I'm going to go do some road riding on it. So, get on with the day, catch up a bit, tidy up a lot, prepare ourselves for next week. Have a good weekend, everyone. Catch you later.